everybody, welcome back to What the Film. We've been on a little hiatus. We did not upload a Friday episode. We said that we were going to upload 2, but the audio was miserable. I sounded like I was ear raping people, and we did not have time to re-record because Ethan was on vacation, by the way.
Which is why my nose is red. I'm doing Rudolph cosplay right now.
Yeah, and by the way, Ethan forgot his hey, hi, hello.
I mean, you never introduced yourself either, so I was
true. I'm Logan Thompson. Hi.
He is. I'm Ethan Kaufman. Hey, hi, hello,
There you go. Look at that. We're a little delayed over
now they know who we are and that we're reliable sources, and now they want to listen to us talk about movies.
So starting off with our little Newsflash segment, we are going to be including some fun trailers this week and maybe in future weeks. Starting off with Gladiator 2. I was a pretty big fan of this trailer. Thought it looked pretty cool. Don't really get why a lot of people have a big issue with the music choice, because the most that's going to happen is that song will be in the credits. It's not going to be in the actual movie. So what's the issue? It's just marketing.
Yeah. I, as someone who still hasn't seen the first Gladiator, and I obviously will before this comes out, this looked awesome. I'm very excited. The use of No Church in the Wild. Why was this such a big thing? It's a little jarring to hear Frank Ocean's voice suddenly when you're in the Roman Empire doing all that. But this isn't a Baz Luhrmann movie. You don't have to worry about it being in the middle of an action sequence. We're fine. We're good.
Exactly. We're good. And it just looked good.
It looks great. Yeah.
It looks awesome. I'm so excited. And as
whatever Joseph Quinn is doing, I'm here for.
Oh, I'm so here for it too.
Yeah.
And so I had to see Gladiator twice for a film class I took in high school. So I'm very well versed in Gladiator. And I'm excited for Gladiator 2.
Yeah.
And then there's the other trailer, which I think is an even bigger elephant in the room because it kind of dropped really early. Captain America Brave New World.
Woo!
What'd you think?
I loved this.
Me too.
And I'm so happy that I can say that about an MCU trailer.
Me too.
That's proper MCU, not like a Deadpool and Wolverine that's it's MCU, but it's disconnected. And this is just the Winter Soldier, but a decade later. It looks awesome.
It looks so good. Yeah, I am hyped. Too.
Yeah,
I just think it's going to be a good time.
I think the fact that it has on screen the depiction of an attempted assassination on the president, pretty weird timing on that. But beyond that, other than that, looks great.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love a lot of the dialogue here. The one about the mustache, the one about you might be Captain America, but you will never be Steve Rogers. Such a good line. Oh my God. This could be really good. And as a former huge Marvel fan, I am also very hyped.
Yeah.
Because I'm more than happy to get back on the Marvel train if they start making good stuff. And with Deadpool, Agatha possibly, and then this could be 3 straight good things.
It would be really nice if the MCU got back to when they were good. And I was able to get excited about new releases from Marvel Studios because I haven't for so long.
Moving on to some actual news. You got Skydance that merged with Paramount, finally. Pretty big deal. Paramount needed somebody to acquire them, and I was really just hoping that Sony would not be that studio, because if Sony acquired Paramount, then that leaves us with a lot less major studios and less movies because of that. Because Sony, like what Disney has done with Fox, would make less movies with their Paramount branch.
Yeah.
So that gives us less things to talk about for podcasts like these, which isn't too fun.
Good stuff.
Also, they're not going to be selling the Paramount lot.
Yeah, why was that ever a thing?
I don't know, but now it's not happening. So yeah, it's great. Live action Moana filming in August, set for a release in June next year. That's something that's happening.
That feels like a very quick turnaround for a big budget movie.
Yeah, but also Fantastic Four is doing something very similar where they're not filming till right after Comic-Con. So late July, early August, and then they're releasing in July the following year.
All right.
Yeah. So
I why? Just why is there a live
yeah,
action Moana?
it's coming so soon. It's just very
I
odd.
because when this was first announced as a thing, like I wasn't for it. The fact that it's happening within a year of Moana 2 is like, why?
Yeah,
No one's
that's
asking
also
for
weird.
this much Moana content.
I mean, watch them both make $1 million. They probably
Totally.
will. They
Yeah.
probably will.
And if one of them doesn't, Dwayne Johnson's gonna like have a hissy fit on social media and everyone's gonna laugh at him for it. And I can't
Yeah,
wait.
exactly. Like Black Adam.
Yeah.
Devil Wears Prada is getting a sequel with Streep, Blunt, Tucci, and Anne Hathaway all returning. Awesome.
I still haven't
I
seen the
love Meryl
original.
Streep. You need to see the original. It's
I
great.
know.
It's so much fun. Sam Raimi is going to be directing a new horror thriller set on an island titled Send Help. This is described to be like Castaway, but a thriller. So
That's
solid.
awesome.
Just like to see Sam Raimi back in the director's chair for a horror film. Going to be
Yeah.
awesome. The final Conjuring film is set to be released September 5th of 2025. So there you
We
go.
we know it's not going to be the final Conjuring movie.
Yeah, probably not. They're going to make a bunch of spin-offs.
Yeah.
Inside Out 2 is now Pixar's highest grossing film,
Good
unadjusted
job,
for
Pixar.
inflation. Great job, Pixar. Shrek 5 is going to be releasing July 1st, 2026. So we got hyped about 2025, but no, it's 2026.
I mean, if they feel they need the extra, like if it's to make a better film, awesome.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
mean, especially if it's going to maybe be similar to like a Puss in Boots type of look,
Right.
that would be incredible.
I'm hoping because
Me
like
too.
Puss in Boots too, as far as what DreamWorks is capable of, just on like a visual level, that is easily the best thing they've ever done. And if they continue to go in that direction, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
Please.
I wish that they went in that direction with Kung Fu Panda 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see how they go with Shrek 5. And our final bit of news that
I love
Horizon
this one.
2 has been pulled from its August release and is delayed indefinitely in
Woo!
hopes that Horizon 1 will generate more of a fan base in theaters and then digitally, so that way more people go and see the sequel when it comes out. My guess is that they're going to push it to maybe January or like February,
No,
just a time where
January's
not as many
perfect.
movies are coming out. I get this. I'm
Yeah.
excited for Horizon 2. Little bummed that it's being delayed, but as a supporter of Horizon, I'm all for the delay if it can get more butts in the seats for the sequel.
I, on the other hand, am against Horizon and everything it represents. However, I'm very curious to just see what happens with this as it plays out, and like if this is a move that ultimately lets Horizon 2 be more successful than it would have been. I think it probably will, so we'll see.
Yeah, I think it probably will too, just because I don't think Costner's wrong that there is an
Yeah.
audience for this film and that they might not be going to the theaters, and that maybe once they get to see it with their Walmart DVDs, like he's saying that they will,
Yeah.
they will be like, "Oh, this is grand. This is epic. Let's go and see it in a theater for chapter 2."
As out of touch as he sounds when he says that, you're very correct in that like the people who are going to watch the first Horizon are not the type of people to go watch it in a theater.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, and
yeah,
at the end of the
I think this is
day,
a good move.
yeah, and if you look at the way that original franchises are nowadays, the first film is never that successful. It's always the sequels that are huge.
Right.
But the first film can be kind of small.
Yeah,
It's just that the sequels then start to blow up. So that could
we'll
possibly
see.
happen with Horizon if it gets some chance to develop with a fan base.
I am worried though that if everybody is instead of going to see it in a theater and choosing to watch it at home, that it's going to be even more TV-ish than it already is, which is like
Well, you
I don't know
haven't
how I feel
seen
about it.
it,
I haven't
so
seen it, but like I don't know. I'm hoping it does well so we can like continue to talk about them because I do have
me
fun
too.
talking about them.
Yeah, I do too. Anyways, with that being said, I think we should move on to the box office.
The box office.
Despicable Me 4 made $44.65 million with a 437.8 worldwide total, dropped 40% at the domestic box office this weekend, right on its way to probably have a solid 800 million,
Yeah.
performance at the box office. So not terrible for this franchise. The franchise also crossed, I think, a 5 billion
5 billion,
total this week. So for
which
the
is the
whole
first
franchise.
animated franchise to do that.
Oh, I did not
Yeah.
remember that bit. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for Despicable Me 4. That's kind of all I got with that. Moving
Yep.
on to the much bigger one.
Oh
Falling
yeah.
short of its $30 million projections, according to the numbers.
Crazy predictions.
Longlegs, Longlegs
Longlegs.
disappoints at the box office with a whopping $22.6 million. Horror indie film by Neon,
Yeah.
which has never had that big of an opening before. The
No.
22.6 million is their biggest opening ever.
It's
And yet the
crazy.
site that we use for our box office projections predicted $30 million.
They're wrong.
Predicts 22 points. Sorry. And now we have 22.6.
Yeah, I love that it's 30 because like I went on Box Office Mojo before we updated the doc just to like prep myself. This was crazy. I my jaw was on the floor when I saw this
Yeah.
that like cuz horror movies we've already had a lot this year, and as a benchmark it's an original. It's less of that like kind of studio produced type route, and it's much more indie art house vibes. 22 million is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, I know. Me too. And I just think more people should be giving it its praise for this opening, because this is a really, really solid opening.
This is a big win.
Huge win. And also the second biggest horror opening of the year, behind
Yeah,
Quiet Place.
which is A Quiet Place.
Yeah. So, like, that's just awesome. For a year
Yeah.
where people were worried about horror films underperforming, no, we just need good horror films that are advertised really uniquely. Because the other thing is that we haven't really gotten any really good horror films, except maybe, I wouldn't even call it really good, but Abigail was pretty good. So what I'm
Yeah.
hoping is that we could see a movie like The Substance start to follow suit with what Longlegs did. It has a really
Which
interesting first trailer.
by the way, I do just want to say because I hadn't seen that trailer until I saw it in a theater. Holy crap!
It looks, it's so good. It's so
Oh my
good.
god, I'm so excited.
I can't wait for you to see it. I'll
Yeah,
probably go with you so I can see it
please.
again, and then
Yeah,
you
so
can see
you
it
can
for your
see
first
my
time.
reaction to it.
Oh, it gets insane. It's
I'm
so, oh
sure.
my god. I
So
want to tell
excited.
you, but like I can't. I can't.
Don't.
No, I'll never.
Yeah.
Never. I know. You can't know. You can't know what I know.
What did you think of Longlegs, Logan?
I thought Longlegs was really good. I thought it was a really excellently made film. I get that it has its slow moments, but I think it was paced phenomenally. The suspense in this film too was out of this world. I mean, it opens with the scene where they bust into somebody's house, and just the tension I felt, even though they released a clip of that scene on YouTube and I already knew kind of what was going to happen, I was still on the edge of my seat anyways, because just seeing that in a theater was wild. And the wide camera angles were perfect for me. I
Yes.
get that they're a little gimmicky, but you need that because it feels like Nick Cage could pop in any second and just long
Yeah.
legs the crap out of Micah Monroe.
I mean,
I don't
that's
even know what that
crazy.
means.
You just used that as a verb. That's not.
I did.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
He's gonna long legs her.
Yeah. Ethan, be careful. I'm gonna long legs you.
Oh no.
We should not be joking about this.
No.
But Nick Cage. Oh
Nick
my
Cage.
god, so good. But
Oh.
also Micah Monroe too.
Yes.
They're both great. Micah Monroe gives this really dry, monotone type of performance,
Yes.
and you don't really get it at first, but then you begin to learn why. It is like, oh wow, that was
It's
perfect
so-
for this film.
It's so off-puttingly stoic, and I agree with you that like at first I was like, this is a weird, like this is just weird line delivery. But once you actually watch through the whole thing and understand like her place in the whole story, it makes sense and it makes it better.
Yes.
It's really cool.
Oh my, it totally makes it better. And just go see this movie. This
Please.
is one of the best movies of the year by far, in my opinion. Such a good like theater experience with a locked in audience.
What time did you see this at?
7 p.m. on a
Nice.
Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, what time did you see it at?
Because I did, usually for a horror movie, I would go see it at night, but because I was coming off 2 consecutive, really bad, really disappointing horror movie theater watches with Quiet Place and Maxine, I saw this with my dad and my brother at 10:30 in the morning, and it was awesome.
Oh, well, I'm
And
glad that
I,
that was
I
fun for you.
loved seeing it that early.
I'm glad you
Everyone was
enjoyed it.
locked in.
Yeah.
Everybody who's going to see it that early is locked in.
How many people were in your theater?
It was a good bunch of people. Like
Really?
it
Okay.
wasn't sold out or anything, but like it was a very commendable 10:30 a.m. showing for a horror movie.
That's awesome. Yeah. I
Yeah.
just want to say and finish out with my bit that not counting movies that saw, or not counting canned movies that are not released yet, this is my number 5 movie of the year.
Where is it on my list?
Just behind Furiosa, Taste of Things, Dune 2, and Challengers.
This is my number 5 too.
Oh my god. What's it behind?
It's behind Challengers, Dune, Furiosa, and I saw the TV Glow.
Gotcha. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, highly recommend this film.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Yes.
Go support Neon.
Go
They
do
deserve
that.
it.
They do.
And support the marketing, because the
The
marketing of this film is amazing. And that's the other.
I'm gonna credit the insane box office success partially to that, because this had a marketing campaign that was unlike anything else that's come out in like the last year, with like the phone line they had set up, all the websites and stuff, and it was really effective, and I think generated a lot of positive word of mouth. Set expectations very high, and if I have any problem with the movie, it's just that it didn't cross those crazy high expectations, which is fine because I don't even know if that's a fair criticism, and I think like it'll be better on rewatch when I know what it is.
Yeah, I think it's going to
But
be better on rewatch too.
the fact that they don't show Nick Cage in the trailer at all is perfect, because the way that the movie utilizes him, like the way that he's shot in certain scenes where like it cuts him off kind of at nose level, and so you can't even see his whole face. Like the hair and makeup, by the way, did amazing. Like
So
I'm not
good.
gonna say he's unrecognizable just because like he's doing a Nick Cage performance. Like it's a crazy Nick Cage performance, but it's very unmistakably Nick Cage.
Hmm.
But it's like unreal just what he is doing and how the filmmaking kind of goes hand in hand with that.
Yeah.
And obviously like there's a lot of Silence of the Lambs comparisons, but I do agree with like Hannibal Lecter is only in that movie for a good half hour, and yet his presence is in it even when he's not on screen, either because of the way they're talking about him or they're not talking about him at all, and you just kind of feel him, and there's like eerie vibes, and that's a lot of what Longlegs is like, even when it's just Micah Monroe and it's like the more police procedural stuff,
You
something's
feel
always
him.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why the wide camera angle is there.
Right. And it's like you could point to something like Poor Things with the fisheye lens, where it's like that's like the extreme of that, where it's so flashy. This is like they're obviously using the wide angles, but it's still kind of grounded in a way where like it doesn't. I'm trying to figure out how to explain it. It doesn't pull you out of it so severely. It's just enough though to have you like looking off to the side, because oh, half the frame is just a room in the background where
Yeah,
nothing is moving, and you're like, well, something's got to move, right? And it never does, but it still freaks you the hell out.
exactly. And
Yeah.
I think it's just really smart and unique and great. And again, go see Longlegs. This has been a really good year for both Neon and A24 with
Yeah.
unique marketing campaigns. Because now you have, this is Neon's big win, A24 at Civil War is their big win. Difference is that this was a lot cheaper than Civil War.
Yeah.
And Civil War opened with 25.5, so not much bigger than Longlegs.
Well, I mean, Longlegs was a major disappointment according to the numbers. So, like, who
Good point. Yeah, good point. Anywho, moving on to Inside Out 2. Made $20.75 million, now with a worldwide total of $1.35 billion. Dropped 32% at the domestic box office this weekend. Well on its way to just keep killing it. still yet to have its Japanese release, I believe.
Okay.
So could do really good at Japan. Just yeah, Inside Out
Yeah.
2 is winning and winning and winning some more.
Holding really well with
Yeah.
Despicable Me there. Like Despicable Me fell harder, and obviously it's a second weekend, so it's going to. But like that's 32% is a very, very good hold.
I have a good feeling that Inside Out 2 will be above Despicable Me 4 by like mid-August.
Okay.
I have a
I can see
feeling
that.
I have a feeling Inside Out 2 is going to hold on in the top 10 until like Labor Day. I don't think
Probably.
Despicable Me 4 is going to do that.
Yeah.
Like I want to go and see Inside Out 2 again at some point.
Like
So I will
people
be a
on social
contributor.
media are still talking about it and doing the
Mhm.
emotions in their head memes and all of that. Like
Yeah.
nobody's talking about Despicable Me 4.
No. They
Minions
see
The
it and
Rise
then
of
that's it.
Gru happened, and like people just want more Minions. They don't want more Despicable Me. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that what we've learned now is that like a Minions movie is fine, but even then, like it's not like it's going to get people talking. It's going to get people memeing. There's a
Yeah,
difference.
gentle Minions.
Yes.
Good old days.
Moving on, number 4, A Quiet Place Day won $11.8 million, 22.7, or sorry, 220.7
Big difference.
worldwide, dropped 43%, held pretty well.
Yeah.
Good for that movie. And now, number 5, movie that I saw, a movie that Ethan did not, the movie that's inspiring our Friday episode ranking, or sorry, just every space movie we've ever
Every
seen.
space movie.
Every space movie. Fly Me to the Moon. Made $10 million at the domestic box office, 19 worldwide. Predicted to make 14, so a little under predictions, but I think overall still solid. It's expected to hold really well by Sony and Apple. They expect it to sort of be like a Ticket to Paradise or Where the Crawdads Sing, where it has a fine opening weekend, but then just holds great for weeks.
Okay.
Where like
We'll
I
see.
think both of those films opened in the 15 range and then made 70 or something like that.
Okay.
So that's what they're expecting from Fly Me to the Moon. Maybe 60 because it didn't open 15, it opened 10.
Yeah.
But
70
still.
would be crazy, I think.
Yeah, I think 50 or 60 is where I'm
It's like
expecting
the
it to
ceiling.
land. Yeah. And that would be great. I mean, I think that I'm calling it a rom-com. Somebody commented on my review on YouTube and was like, this wasn't a rom-com. This was a serious film. And I was
I
like,
got rom-com vibes from the trailer.
Trailer was rom-com vibes. There's just a lot of very sudden moments of levity. The issue is that I think this movie would have been better if it wasn't a rom-com
Okay.
and if it leaned into the drama, because the best scenes in this film were the dramatic scenes,
Really?
not the comedic scenes.
Okay.
Yeah, the drama of this film was honestly like really, really good. And I think that they
Nice.
could have made an excellent film if they leaned more into the drama. And then that also would have made a bit more sense for why it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. Because 2 hours and 20 minutes for a rom-com is ridiculous. But for a space epic, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like ScarJo is still really solid. Channing Tatum, I think, is all right. Overall, it's fine. It's a fine movie.
Okay.
And I gave it a 3 stars. I do think that it's really well made, though. I think the set design, I think the costumes, and then even the CGI are all really good here.
It did have, just from the trailer, like it seemed to have really solid production value.
Yeah, and also the cinematography, just this film has a look to it. It's trying to convey something. It's not just Anyone But You, which is something I want to commend this movie for, because you know, and Anyone But You is a film that relies on that romantic chemistry and those performances to be watchable.
What romantic chemistry?
I mean, I thought there was.
I like both the actors. I'm not going to say they had. I mean, we'll get there on the Glenn Powell ranking.
We will get there on the Glenn Powell ranking that we're doing. I need to start watching those Glenn Powell movies. Anyway, so with that being said, Fly Me to the Moon. It's Fly Me to the Moon. It's fine.
Okay.
3 stars. Yeah. I think I already said that.
You did. Yeah.
So what's your really fun, super cool, mega sexy box office stat?
So while you were walking your dog before we were recording, I noticed something when I was looking at Box Office Mojo, something that you have mentioned but have not called attention to. Every movie in the top five made $10 million or more.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to know when the last time that happened was. It's been almost a year.
Wow.
That's weirdly nuts, and I
Can
feel like
can you give us the weekend when that last
it
happened?
was it was the second weekend of Barbenheimer. It was July 28th to the 30th. It was Barbie, Oppenheimer, first weekend of Haunted Mansion, Sound of Freedom, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, and then Talk to Me also opened with 10 million, so it was six movies. But I find that just baffling that it's taken this long, and that like I just like noticed that like nobody, there was not a single article I could find about that. I don't know. It's a good weekend for the box office, I
Yeah,
guess. That's what I'm trying to say.
this is a really good weekend for the box office, and it shows the many different kind of films that can all succeed at once. People want to go and see movies. You have two family films doing well, two horror films doing well, and then just a romantic comedy for old people doing pretty
Yeah.
well. Like I think the majority of the movie watchers of Me to the Moon were over 55 from what I
Hmm.
read. So very much skewed towards an older audience, which is totally
And then I
okay.
know like 70% of Longlegs was like ages 18 to 34, I think.
Yeah.
So like very different age range. I like that
Mm-hmm.
though. There's something for
I
everybody.
like that too. And I think like even like Inside Out and Despicable Me 4, both family films, both animated, both rated PG, but I think trying to convey really different things. Despicable Me 4 is a turn your brain off type of family film, while Inside Out 2 is like you gotta lock in. It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
And you're gonna feel stuff,
And
you
there's the
know?
Lion King apparently. We'll get there.
Yeah, okay. So moving on to the rest of the top 10. Bad Boys made 4.4 million, 378 worldwide, dropped 34%. So just keeps on holding really well. Good for Will Smith. He's going to be in a bunch of stuff after how well this movie succeeded. Horizon, 2.4 million, 28.5 worldwide total, dropped 54%. Maxine dropped 69%, made 2
Hey,
million,
nice.
14.7 worldwide total. Yeah, I guess good for the 69% drop. Sound of Hope, forgot to say how much it dropped, but it dropped quite a bit. Made 1.34 million with a 9.8 worldwide total. So just not going to be the new Sound of Freedom. And then finally, there's The Lion King with the second biggest worldwide total in this group of 986.2 after a solid $1.1 million weekend.
Why did they? Was it for the 30th anniversary? It had to
I
be.
guess, yeah.
I'm gonna look this up. Why did they re-release The Lion King? That's
I
gotta
just
be
there
it.
was no
30th
advertising for it. It was
30th
very weird.
anniversary.
It was
Okay.
I never heard about this
Me
until
neither.
somebody mentioned something on like a box office video I watched, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I might have gone to see this. I might have been
Yeah,
like,
me
"Oh, Lion
too.
King's in the theaters. I'll go see
Yeah.
that." Yeah.
Like I saw it on digital like a couple of weeks ago. I would have waited to see this on a big
Yeah.
theater screen if I knew it was going to happen.
Like one of the defining movies of childhood just back in theaters. They
Yeah.
say nothing?
Yeah.
How
Like
did
this
it
could have,
make 1.1 million?
I don't know, but this could have, I think, made Phantom Menace level numbers if they advertised it better.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anywho, three movies fell out of the top 10 this past week, or really two. Kinds of Kindness technically did not fall out of the top 10 because when we reported box office numbers last week, we said that Kinds of Kindness was number 10 and then The Fall Guy was number 11. Actually, when the final numbers came out, because we only do this with estimates since we record on Sundays, the Fall Guy was actually reported to be number 10 with Kinds of Kindness at 11. Both of them are now way out of the top 10, so I have them both here. You also have The Bike Riders out of the top 10 now that it is released on digital. Next weekend, we have two films coming out, the biggest one obviously being Twisters.
We got twins! Twins!
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so that movie's coming out. You should go and see it. And then there's also a horror movie, Oddity, that is going to be released. And it's another IFC Films and Shudder collaboration, I believe. This film did really well at some horror film festivals. If you look at its letterbox, I think it's 3.6.
Okay.
So it just looks to be a good horror movie that I really want to go and check out at some point. Not a lot of people are going to go and see it, but look at it to maybe fall around the bottom of the top 10.
Yeah,
because usually those films make top 10 level numbers, which isn't
generally.
saying much, but still, it's something. We could we be looking at next weekend being another $5-10 million movies? I don't think so, right?
I don't think so because
Yeah,
Fly Me to the Moon and Quiet Place both aren't going to be there.
yeah,
So
but
I
probably
doubt it.
four.
Probably four.
Yeah, because I don't think Longlegs is going to suddenly fall below 10, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think Despicable Me
probably
4
four.
and Inside Out 2 will both be still far above 10 million. Longlegs, I think, will fall to number 4, probably below
Yeah.
Inside Out. But I hope it holds really well. I hope like word of mouth can help Longlegs do well.
Right. That's also the thing though, is I feel like for word of mouth like movies, they do fall more because everyone's now suddenly rushing to see them opening weekend. And then second weekend is just kind of whoever would be seeing it second weekend, which is generally not as much. So I don't
True.
know. I'm hoping though.
I'm hoping as well.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's shift away from film. Let's talk for a few
Yes.
minutes about The Bear season
The
4.
Bear.
We both
Season
got to see The
3.
Bear, or sorry, season 3. Season 4 is going to be
Yes.
coming out next year, probably.
Yes.
So let's talk about season 3 for a second. I just watched it. I binged it over the course of this past week. If you have not seen the season, I suggest that you click away. With that
Yeah.
being said,
Go
Ethan,
watch the
take
season.
it
It's
away.
quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The Bear.
Should we go
Season
episode
1.
by episode?
I was gonna suggest we go episode by episode, and then
Okay.
like kind of do more of an overview at the end, I guess, for like
Yeah.
overarching thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Just to set the stage. Season 1 is amazing, is great, is just a really, really solid season of television. Season 2, I think, in many ways upped the ante, not only just in quality, but in terms of what the show was, and like from a stylistic approach where you're getting more bottle episodes and like because it's really like starting with episode 3 where we're kind of going off with Sydney trying all the foods at the different places immediately to Marcus like doing all of that with Will Poulter, and then we have episode 6 fishes with Christmas dinner, and then we go to Forks with Richie, and it's like there's so many bottle episodes and we're following so many characters one by one, but it never felt disconnected. And especially the finale when it's opening night, like with friends and family, and they're all there and there's the chaos of the kitchen. It really felt like a culmination of all of those bottle episodes.
Yeah.
Season 3 does a lot of what season 2 did with those bottle episodes, but because I think they shot back to back with season 4, and it is very much a part.
They didn't actually.
They didn't really.
They were going to, but then ended up not. And I'm glad that they didn't.
If they were going to, though, does that mean that season 4 was written alongside it, at least?
Yes, but I have a feeling that there will be some rewrites following the thoughts on season 3 being a lot more mixed.
Okay. Even if that's the case, I think that, like, you still clearly can make the argument that seasons 3 and 4 were more of a collective than either 1 or 2. Like, it was much more parts of a larger story.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I think you can feel that, and I think a lot of the criticism I've been seeing does mainly deal with that, and that I do agree with it, because especially the ending feels very like disconnected and just kind of leaving off there. It feels like the end of an episode rather than the end of a season.
Yeah, very odd. I mean, I felt like the ending before the final scene felt like the end of a season, but then the final scene felt like the start of the next one. I didn't necessarily hate it. I felt like it kind of did the cliffhanger similar to like a Spider-Verse cliffhanger rather than just a bad cliffhanger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I do think that they continued this, they finished the story that they were trying to tell with a lot of the characters with the party in the final episode. With that being said, I think before we start talking generally, I think we should run through the episodes really quickly. Let's talk about tomorrow.
Yeah. This was a killer season premiere, I thought. I loved it. You didn't
agree.
So. Okay.
I didn't really like Tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah.
Did it just feel repetitive to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I get it because it sets up the season. The season's a very reflective season for Carmi. He's very much looking back. But I'd say after so much looking forward in season two, aside from fishes, this was a little jarring. I
All right.
expected this to continue going forward. I expected to see a really hot headed Carmi. I expected just something more. And instead, we got this soft, really touching episode that definitely had its moments, but then it just kind of kept being the same thing over and over again for a while, in my opinion. And I just, I like the vibes, but I just feel like what we get in this episode is very much what I felt like for the whole season, where it's episodes
Okay.
that have really cool moments, but they just don't push the narrative enough. I felt like this season moved the needle an inch after season one, and season two moved it a mile.
All right. That's fair.
And this episode set the stage, yes, for the looking back, but also for the just not moving the needle.
Okay. I think what you're going to see with my opinions episode to episode, and this is just a thought that I have for TV in general, not just The Bear. I just like an episode of television when it is very very much its own thing, I guess, where like you can recall back to it as, oh, that's the episode where, and you can just kind of say in a sentence what the episode was. I like
Mm-hmm.
I like episodes when they feel individual and I guess episodic. And I really like this kind of feeling like a buffer after season two, where it was slow and it was sad, and it does have the Nine Inch Nails song going the whole time, and it can feel a little repetitive, but I think after how chaotic and just emotionally draining the end of season two was, that this was a very natural progression. And I don't know how I feel about it in the context of the whole season. I think maybe it's a little not misleading, but I think because, like, especially the next two episodes are just like back to that highly stressful, quick editing type style.
Yeah.
This is so somber and like meditative, but I really loved it, and it felt for what seems to be like the therapy season, it felt like the therapy episode within that, and I just
Mm-hmm.
really like that. And I
That's
like
fair.
vibes, so I vibed with it.
I'm glad that you vibed with it. I vibed with it too. Um, but yeah, I guess I wanted more.
Okay,
So with that being said, let's talk about episode two, which I thought was a lot better.
all right,
Next, I liked it. I liked the conversation just kind of being all in that one room. I liked the arguing. I thought we needed that. I think that this combined with tomorrow would have been a killer opening episode.
really,
I think that they needed to go together. And I think you
okay,
could have like kind of edited between the two different bits. Because I think that we get a little too much of next. I think it could have been a little shorter. And I think that the tension needed to be there. We needed that tension to continue. But you're right. Season two, the finale was a lot. So to have those moments of levity from tomorrow cut between next, I think would have made a really good episode to open the season.
okay.
That's my
I
opinion.
with how dismal the whole time the first episode is, I do like that, and you just kind of wallow in it the whole time. And
Mm-hmm.
so I really like how the whole episode is also then this of them just kind of in the kitchen arguing. And I love at least the structure of it where you're coming off that sort of night, you're in the early morning when Carmi's just there like making food. And it very much feels like early morning. Like you've just done a lot of like hard thinking. You're kind of like slowly back getting into the flow of things.
Mm-hmm.
And in the context of what's happening, it's the day. In the context of the show, it's this new season. And I love how you are immediately just snapped out of that with everybody coming in and yelling at each other. And it's that very like fast-paced kitchen tension that the show does very well. And for the people who don't like the bear, it's pretty much what they view the show as. of
Yeah.
just like people yelling at each other in a kitchen.
Yeah.
But I really loved it, and I think like the end when Marcus comes in and everybody just goes quiet. I thought that was an amazing ending.
That was.
Yeah, for me, this just continued the early part of the season, riding the high of season 2. I thought, yeah, I like how we're
That's
differing
fair.
so much though on
I do
our
too. I
opinions
mean,
here.
I think we'll get together on Doors to say that Doors is a really solid episode.
Yeah,
Doors was great.
Doors was
I
amazing.
yeah, I think it went through just the full first month. That was great. Started to show kind of the theme of this episode or of this season where it's Carmi just turning into the chef that made his life hell and that he's just become the same guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say, Fack going out and like pouring the thing in front of the couple and then bringing it back to the kitchen without actually serving it to them is the funniest thing I've seen in weeks.
Can I say that we got too much facts here?
I agree. I
This
think
season had too many fact
we'll
stuff.
get there when we get to a certain episode, but I think like at least his use in this episode I thought was like because you need some of that. An episode like Next where they're just yelling in the kitchen but it's kind of stagnant in setting, I think is fine if you're just going to make the whole episode that. But this, where it's more of like a stress montage of their whole first month in service,
Yeah.
where it has the energy of that long take from the season 2 finale, but it's so much more chaotic because you're now cutting between different days and like different problems that they're running into. I think having comedic relief there does help a lot, and I do think, at least in terms of the writing, like he was much funnier here than in later episodes. I
Mm-hmm.
think, yeah,
That's fair. And I think that's Fac works best as a supporting role,
yes,
not when the Fac is like half of what's going on in an episode.
yeah,
Yeah. So that's just yeah. Moving on. Violet. I just don't really remember this one.
yeah. This is like the first. Like half the episodes this season are very distinct, like you can immediately recall what the episode was, and half of them are just normal episodes of The Bear, and this is the first one of those, I think.
Yeah. And
Um,
oh, a big chunk of this was Fac stuff. Could have cut all
yeah,
that out.
but also Josh Hartnett.
Right, this was Josh
Josh
Hartnett, and where I
Hartnett. This was
texted you, I
Josh
was like,
Hartnett.
"Oh my god, Josh Hartnett."
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Cut all of Violet out, and then leave in Josh Hartnett, and then there you go.
Yeah, I think what I love about this episode is all the Richie stuff and like
Yeah,
building off of his arc in season 2. I think it did a really good job, and I really don't like how little he has to do throughout the season, where he is relegated much more to that supporting role that he was kind of in for most of season 1.
hmm
And he's now so much more developed that I need more of him. I don't know.
yeah. I need more of him
Less
too.
facts, please.
Yes, less facts, more Richie. All right, episode 5, Children. This is the
John
episode with the
Cena
computer and John Cena. Yeah, so you got two halves of this film. One bad half with John Cena, one good half with the computer. Make the computer the full episode and get rid of John Cena. I get it that it's cool you got John Cena, but John Cena, I can't see him. What do you mean, John Cena? Is that a gust of wind? Because we just cut him out of the whole show.
Oh no.
Whoa. Yeah. I'm sorry. That was a really bad John
No,
Cena joke.
no, it was because season 2 went nutso with the celebrity guests, but this was the first time where I could not separate the person from the character they were playing. Like, obviously, like someone like Jamie Lee Curtis or Olivia Colman or whoever, it's like, oh, that's that person. And like, you're thinking that the whole time. But they are also so good in these relatively small roles, and they are
Yeah,
good with their dramatic acting that you are able to see them as the character, and you are, after a couple minutes of like the general shock wearing off, able to forget about the celebrity cameo and see them just as this new character that's popped up. John Cena is
exactly.
just John Cena the whole time,
Yeah, and that's an issue.
and like he's fun, but he's not fun enough to warrant. Not I'm not gonna say warrant being here, but I think I don't know. It just gave the episode more of an excuse to hang out with the facts.
Yeah, which sucks. I don't like that.
And I think,
Less facts.
and the stuff with the computer I thought was good. I didn't love it. I think it's because it was cutting too much between them and then the facts, like buffing the floor or
Hmm.
whatever.
The thing with
But
the computers that I think that there's a lot of potential there for a lot of really interesting tension because he was being honest with them about things that
yeah,
we as an audience knew. And I liked that. And I loved the scene between Sydney and the computer about Marcus, where he was
yes,
like, cut Marcus. And then she was
right.
like, no, you don't do anything about Marcus. That was an excellent scene. And that's the thing. Even these mediocre episodes have one really great scene. Josh Hartnett in episode 4, this one, Sydney and the computer talking about Marcus.
Because that's really where it comes down to, like, they're not doing the best thing they could be doing for the restaurant, but it's because this is who these people are. We've known this since the very beginning of the show. They are like this whole found family,
Mm-hmm.
and they're never going to sacrifice that, even if it could mean being more successful.
Yeah.
And even like, this isn't that exactly, but like even Carmi doing the like wanting to change the menu every day, like he is fully aware that it is costing them so much more than it has to, and that
Yeah.
it's fully unnecessary. But it's because of who his character is that he's committed to something beyond just like the practical financial stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a really fascinating point where you can sort of play with your character conflict when them being the stubborn people that they are is fully clashing with what they should be doing. I
Yeah.
love that, and I think if the episode had had more of that, I think it would have been stronger overall, because I think cutting between two plots weakened both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And I think also it could have given us more change. Again, like just nothing really happens because even after this computer bit, nothing changes.
yeah,
Yeah, like this episode had cool moments, but then nothing from it comes up in later episodes. Also, I think I can't remember if it was episode 5 or 4 where Sydney is approached by the guy that works at Olivia Colman's restaurant.
yeah. I
But
think it's in
that
4, but that's
okay,
like
that
throughout the
moment just
season is
takes
kind
too
of,
long to develop.
yeah,
We should have gotten updates on that quicker. Instead, we hear about it early in the season. That's a couple episodes. Then they have dinner. Couple episodes. Will you say yes? I don't know. Couple episodes. Will you say yes?
right.
I don't know. You know
It's
what I
just
mean?
this
Like,
thing that the season is kind of hanging over us the whole time, and by the
yeah,
end, it's never even really fully resolved.
exactly. Just the same thing with the Molly stuff too. Not,
Yeah,
well, her name's not
or
Molly. Molly Gordon is the actor,
yeah, Claire,
but
Claire Bear.
Claire, yes, Claire Bear. The stuff with Claire, same deal. He should have talked to Claire this season, but he doesn't,
Yeah.
and it's so frustrating. Next is Napkins.
Oh my god.
Really good episode, but wrong season.
Really?
Completely out of place.
I agree it's out of place, but I think it's so good that it doesn't even need to be in the right place to like justify it being here.
Yeah, but this
I loved it.
just I love the episode, but it ends with the computer. It ends with the tense Marcus moment, and then it cuts to this. It cuts
I
to a really good individual episode when we wanted to see it keep going, and it got rid of the tension. And that's the thing with the Bears, that it has all this tension, and then it gives us all of a sudden this really good episode. I think, if anything, Napkins could have been the season finale. Napkins could have been the opening episode. I just think in the middle of the season it didn't work. I think it could have worked better in season 2. It could have worked better in season 1, but in the middle of season 3 it doesn't work, at least in my opinion.
I do think it works better here than at the very beginning or very end, because like if it's at the very beginning, you're setting nothing up. Like
Yeah.
obviously you have a backstory for a character, but we don't need Tina set up
Yeah.
more.
Maybe
And
after
at the
Doors.
maybe probably that probably would have been a better spot.
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe after Doors.
We need to resequence all the bottle episodes.
Yeah.
See if they can work in other spots. No, I think my problem with the sequencing is more on the fault of the whole season. Like I don't think it drags this episode down at all, because at the end of the day, it's just an amazing episode of television.
It
And like
is
the scene with her and John Bernthal, which is like
so
15 20
good.
minutes.
Oh my god.
It's so good.
Yeah, just great acting.
It's great acting, and I think like the whole thesis of the show of this being this insane, stressful, so damaging for your mental health place to work. And
Mhm.
yet it doesn't matter because the people who work here have found their family here and it's what they
Yeah.
love to do and it's the only thing they really even know how to do. And that justifies all of the tensions.
Yeah.
I think this is easily the episode that like reaffirms that. And like I think it's the only episode from the season that I'd put in my top 5 for the show. I loved it. I loved it so
Yeah.
much.
It's great. Okay, so moving to Legacy, just another mediocre.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
it's
don't even
like
really remember what happens.
I'm not gonna say it's mediocre just because like it's the bear, like it's good,
But
even
mediocre
if it's
for the
not good.
bear.
Mediocre for the bear, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the lowest rated on IMDb this season.
Yeah.
Which might mean it's lowest rated for the show because I can't imagine there's an episode in the first 2 seasons lower. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah. Well, moving on to the next one, which might be my favorite episode of the season.
Really? Okay.
Ice Chips. Just yeah. It
Yes.
just again acting but incredible, and it doesn't take you away from the continuity of the show by sending you years back in time. Because that's the thing. This is one of the 2 big individual episodes of the show, and this one, in my opinion, works so much better than Napkins for the season. Not saying Napkins is a bad episode. I don't ever want somebody to misconstrue that, but I don't think Napkins fits in the whole season, at least where it is. But Ice Chips does, because that's in the continuity. And and also it's closure for Sugar for the season. We don't see Sugar again the rest of the season.
That's true. I didn't even think about
So I think that's great. And I think just the acting between her and Jamie Lee, oh my god.
Yeah.
Out of this world.
I was really worried that we weren't going to have like another Jamie Lee Curtis episode this season, and I'm so happy she's back because she's just as good as she was in season 2.
Oh wait, I think she was better.
I might say, I don't know, because her and Fishes, like, because it's the first time we see her, so I think just that initial, oh, holy crap, Jamie Lee Curtis in The Bear, and she's really good. She's so much better than the role that she just won an Oscar for. Oh my god.
Yeah. The thing is that her and Fishes is very one-noted, while her here is more just unique. There's a lot more just, she's not just a crazy lady.
I think it really comes down to maybe whose relationship you want to see more of, because in Fishes, the way that she's utilized is very much in service to Carmy, where it's like that stressful sort of kitchen thing, and it's all of the yelling with all the family around. And here, it's her and Natalie, and I think I do, as an episode, I like Fishes more. As a Jamie Lee Curtis performance, I think I like Fishes more. But I think the utilization of the character here is better, where her relationship with Natalie is really the tense one, where like her husband goes out to talk to her at the end of season 2 instead of her because she doesn't want to face her family. And so to have, because they've been ramping up to, like, I didn't know for a fact that she was going to be back, but they're like every now and then, if Natalie's on screen, there's like, you should talk to mom, or like something like that, something like with Carmy and Claire. And while that doesn't happen, it does here. And I really like that, like the way the episode begins of her in the car, worst case scenario, with like new noise playing again, which they used in season 2 to kind of ramp things up. And then it's just call mom.
No, well, it's calling a bunch of people, and then call mom's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know it's coming, and that happens. It's like yes, and yeah, that was awesome.
And and then I love how the whole episode is, for the most part, just them in the hospital room, because you really, again, I just love it when it wallows in one setting for an unnecessarily long time.
Incredible acting.
Because I love the acting, I love the writing, I love these characters, and I want to just vibe with them.
Me too.
And so getting so much time of this really tenuous relationship that outside of one flashback where the two of them, that wasn't even the dynamic being highlighted, this is really the first time we get to see them talking to each other, and it's great.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. Next is Apologies. Final episode where I just don't really remember it too well.
Yeah.
Like, it's just kind of setting up for the finale.
I think it's very similar to episode 9 of season 2, where it's just kind of in service to the finale. But here, I don't think there's a lot done with that. Whereas season 2, like, there was that great scene with Carmi and Sydney, like, under the table for like 10 minutes, which was great. And there's kind of Richie taking charge, preparing to lead everybody in front of the house. Here, they're just kind of like sad about ever closing. That's it.
Yeah.
Sydney's like contemplate, like she hasn't filled out the form yet.
Yeah.
I don't have much to say.
I don't have much to say either. And I guess now our final one, episode 10, Forever.
Yes.
Solid episode. Best scene
Yes.
of the show.
With Joel McHale.
Yeah. Wow.
I got
Just
Whiplash
unbelievable.
vibes from that.
Me too.
Like,
I got a lot of Whiplash
Terrence
vibes too.
Fletchery sort of scene.
Yes. I totally agree there.
Yeah.
And
That was perfect. I think bringing back everyone, like, pretty much that has been a celebrity guest at some point, I think was really fun. And again, just like a vibey episode, like you're just kind of hanging out with them for the most part. Definitely my least favorite of the season finale is one because there's just not enough closure. I don't think like Ever is closing, but Ever was never really a thing except for the Richie episode until this season.
Yeah.
But like I do love that one scene, and like the opening too. I love there are a lot of parts of this episode that I really like. Yeah, Sydney and Luca having a friendship is really nice and cool, but
yeah, it seems like Richie could be developing some sort of relationship.
Maybe, yeah.
With that one waiter, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that could be happening, which would be interesting.
Good for him, if true.
Yeah, seriously. And just, I'm glad that I got to see these characters have fun.
Yeah.
You know, except Carmi, which is sad. I was like, oh, where's Carmi at this party? And then you see where Carmi is. It's like, oh. And then you see the end. It's like, oh.
And it's so predictable because the scene with Joel McHale, like, he has been this presence since episode 2 of the first season, where he's like, he'll see him from time to time, and he's not even there. Just because he is being haunted, to use the facts terminology. He's being haunted by this guy who made his life hell. And the best part is when he says that he doesn't think about him that much. And the look of horror on his face, because, like, it couldn't be further from his experiences. And I don't think, like, it's predictable, but Carmi never would have guessed that that's how the conversation goes, because he's had such this, like, huge negative impact on him. And, I don't know, it's fascinating. It was a really fascinating character moment. And I think definitely one of the highlights of the whole season.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. One of the highlights of the show.
Definitely.
So far.
I love that we're exclusively talking about like 4 minutes out of a 30-plus minute episode.
Yeah. I think overall, this is the worst season of The Bear. Could you agree?
I would agree. I think there are parts of it, because it does, a lot of the filmmaking from season 2 carries over.
Yes.
And while I don't think it's utilized as well, I think production value, aside from review, which, like, the amazing one take that I don't think was gonna be top this season, because I don't think they were ever trying to, like, on a technical craft level, I might put it above season 1, but it is so much a part 1, which I sometimes will not have a problem with, but because there is so much left completely unresolved,
yeah,
it really is a buffer season. And
it really is. I don't like it.
I think if season 4 sticks the landing, it will retroactively make this better, depending on what this was actually building to.
Yes and
but
no.
I don't know, because
even if season 4 sticks to the landing, I think this season will still feel lazy because what I'm worried about is that season 4 is now going to feel kind of bloated, where now it's trying to resolve all of these things. I think season 3 should have built more and resolved a couple of things, because that's the point of a season of television. You want to see things resolved, and all we got to see, the only resolution of this entire season, or I guess two, Sugar reconnects with her mom and has a child. That's one of your resolutions. And the staff at the Bear are happy at the end, except Carmi. Oh, and then I guess the review comes out and it's bad.
Yeah.
3 resolutions. But even the review being bad, you don't really get to see that being resolved, because it's not even about the review. It's about the fallout of the bad review.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's really frustrating, because it's just like you're left with so much left. And I loved certain parts of this season. I really did. But this was a season that was trying to make good episodes rather than a good season. And as a result, it made 5 episodes that were memorable and good, 5 that were mediocre and forgettable, but left you, or at least me, feeling kind of empty. And I don't want to feel that after a season of The Bear.
Right.
So sorry, I'm a little angry.
You want to feel full and served.
Yes.
I think the genius of season 2 is the ticking clock to the opening of the restaurant.
Yeah.
Because it allowed the whole season to feel cohesive, because you are from the beginning building to something and you know exactly when you're going to get there. So there's never this like weird ambivalence of what is it leading to and when are we going to get to find out? You just know. But I also think that structure allowed the bottle episodes to breathe more than they do here, because even if we're stepping away for a minute, like I don't really know how to explain it, but like here the normal episodes are just fully normal episodes that are more aimless, because even the normal episodes of season 2, you have the ticking like I would argue the penultimate episode of season 2 is one of those, but it's right before all hell's about to break loose, and you know that. And so even though it's just more character moments, there's still that tension. And I don't think you have that here. But I don't know. I agree. Again, first 3 episodes I loved, and then the Tina and Natalie episodes I also loved, and I loved parts of the finale. I just think as a package, it left some to be desired.
Yes. That's how I feel too.
Yeah.
With that being said, I think we should kind of wrap up.
Yeah.
Unless you have anything else to really add.
That's all I got.
That's all you got? That's kind of all I got.
Yeah.
Disappointing.
Well, I mean, next week I'm going to talk more about how I was mildly disappointed by the new season of a show that's the 4-letter B word. But we'll get there.
The Boys.
The Boys.
Yes. I'm not happy to hear that it's disappointing.
It's okay. It's okay. It can't always be a smash hit.
Well, wait, the finale is not even out yet.
Finale's not out yet. We'll see. That could change everything.
It could. That's what finales like to do that. Oh, and while you get to talk about that, I get to talk about The Acolyte. Oh yeah, I forgot about The Acolyte, but I've been reviewing them on YouTube. Might as well talk about them here.
I looked at the IMDb scores for the episodes. How are you putting yourself through this?
Because there's a lot of haters, so it's not as bad as the IMDb scores say.
Okay.
Really, the 3 should be 4 or 5s. So, you know.
All right.
Big difference.
Is my guy from Squid Game good in it?
He's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
He's fine. All right. Okay.
All right.
Think that's wraps.
Think that's it.
Thank you everybody for listening to us ramble. Half an hour of this was The Bear.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It deserved it.
You could watch an episode of The Bear in that time.
Yes, you could. But if you haven't already seen it, then you have the whole season spoiled for you. So you're welcome. Thank you again.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you all on Friday for Space Movies.
Space Movies!
Space Movies!